Welcome to the Motobookie podcast. Motobookie is a social wagering platform for motocross and supercross fans. It is a unique place where you can put your money where your mouth is. We built a platform for people to go on and bet with real money. It is not fantasy. We play with real money, real bets in real time. So we urge you to go to motobookie.com, place bets on your favorite riders. Get in there, talk some shit, mix it up, talk some trash. You can bet with your friends. You can bet against other fans. You can bet in a general setting. So go to motobookie.com, check it out. We are also offering the app completely free until the month of May. So you can get on there, create a profile, throw $20 in there, bet on your favorite rider, talk some shit, and have some fun. So go to motobookie.com and check us out. Real quick, before we get going, want to thank a couple of people who were able to help us make the app happen. Eric Garcia and Zach Ovando at Hub Central. They were the individuals that assisted us in developing the app and helping bring the vision forward. So having said that, I thought we would get into how we came up with the idea for Motobookie. I have my daughter here today, Isabella Tewksbury, and she is the person that actually brainstormed this app.
Hey guys, so my name's Isabella. I'm 16 years old, and kind of like a backstory, I was kind of getting into like Supercross, Motocross like 2 years ago, and I've always been like interested in like fun, like different sports, and I've always like sports that are more like one-on-one more than like a team. So like when my dad showed me this sport, I was like, wow, this is so fun, because like every race is different, every track is different, everything, each race is always going to be different, and I've always liked that part of Supercross and Motocross. So the first time I went to Anaheim, I was like I am a very big Jet fan, so like the first time I went, I was it was his first Anaheim or something, and I was like, oh, like he's gonna get the whole shot, like I know he is. And then this guy was like running his mouth, and he was like, no, like he's not gonna get the whole shot, like he doesn't have it, like he's too young. And I was like, okay, I was like, I'll bet you $10. And of course I didn't have money, or he didn't have the money too, so I was like,
You're betting with my money.
Something like that. But like I knew he wasn't gonna come through, so I was like, easy. So then there you go, whole shot. Jack got the whole shot, and then I was like, give me my money, and he was like, oh no. And then the idea just kind of came up to me. I was like, it would be really cool if you kind of just like cross over paths, like on an app, and like talk whatever crap you want to talk on there, and like place whatever bets you want on each rider. And that was actually the way it started. Yeah.
Awesome. So basically, we took your idea and created the Motobookie platform.
Mm-hmm.
So your idea, my money, and now
we're a great team.
Yeah,
that's what we are.
You come up with stupid ideas, and then I fund them.
And then I make you money.
Yeah. All right. Well, having said that, we want to also, real quick, we want to thank Alex Ray. He's decided to join us here in studio for our first ever podcast. So shout out to Alex Ray. And we also want to urge you to go to alexray.com, check out the sketchy merch, support all the privateer riders. He's got a super cool social media with the dopest merch in the game. So we ask you to please support him so he can get out to the races and entertain these fans. So we want to say thanks for Alex for coming on and joining us on the show.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. You know, yeah, like you were talking about the merch, right? Like, I wanted to do something that just wasn't my name and number on a T-shirt, something that every average person can relate to, right? Like I wanted to have a brand that was not just for dirt bikes, not just for myself, something that everyone could relate to. You know, whether it's just day-to-day sketchy lifestyle, right? Yeah. So alexray.co. Hey, it's awesome, man.
Go cop the merch.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and ultimately, I think. The sketchy part says it all. I mean, anybody who's ever thrown their leg over a dirt bike would know at some point, even if you're just a squid kind of riding down a fucking fire road, at some point the thing's going to get sketchy. So I think you kind of like, you killed it with that exact kind of like tagline.
We've all seen our eyes flash before our eyes. Or what is our life flash before our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's stepped their leg over a motorcycle, they've gotten sketchy. They're, even like in traffic or anything, right? Like anything in life, like they all have like that scare or that sketchy moment, so
It fits perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
It's perfect. Well, first off, we want to go ahead and just welcome you back. We know you were out with a little bit of a thumb injury. Decided to make a comeback at probably the sickest, ruddiest, fucking disgusting track known to mankind. I was watching the time qualifying and everything, and I think by the third or fourth lap of just like whatever it is, open practice or beginning practice, by the end of the third lap, the thing looked like just disgusting.
Yeah, so like the issue with Indianapolis, right? It's super cold all the time, and a lot of times whenever they bring the dirt in, it could either be frozen or and then it thaws out once it gets in there, and so it's pretty much just Play-Doh whenever they're building the track. Either that, or if they have a wet winter, the track can be super super soft and ready, like what we've seen. And I think that's what they had there. It was a wet winter, but dude, like as soon as we got on the track, immediately just ruts everywhere. And in the track crew, they did the best that they could. They worked on the track all day, every single second that they got. But yeah, man, I mean, the track was just its own animal this weekend. It was crazy.
So I know you were mentioning a little bit about the track, and you were a little, I guess, disappointed with the excitement of it. But having said that, with those types of ruts and stuff, would you agree that it's a better and safer route to go, just keeping the track maybe a little more dummied down when you see that type of dirt come in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to the jumps, of course you don't want like these gnarly jumps in that type of like terrain of like dirt and stuff. But I was looking for like, some like cross lanes, some like, I don't know, like something a little different, like maybe like a little sand section or like
No sand in Supercross. See, that's the worst thing ever.
It's
Oh
just
my
like-
gosh.
yeah, I just wanted like something a little like it looked kind of like a track. It just looked like and I was like, yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, these track crew, they've been doing this for a lot of years, right? You got to think that they've done every single like
Layout.
every single layout combination, right? Like, so it's hard for them, I feel like, to keep that creativity. And sometimes they're so limited of what they could do in each stadium, right? Like the floor size, and I don't know, but like, I would like to see some of that stuff too. I would love, like the over under bridges. Those things are so much fun. Or something like that. You know what I mean? I completely agree with that. But man, like, yeah. So whenever they build the track and they sort of accommodate to the dirt at some of these stadiums, right? So sometimes they'll build the jumps not as steep. So whenever you're hitting the jump, and the G-forces of hitting the jump creates the rut, and every time you're hitting the rut, the jump in the face gets super steep. It gets a lot steeper once you get those ruts in there. And then that can create kickers and everything, right? So that's why they're trying to maybe make the jumps a little bit more mellow.
So they're basically building it like that with the anticipation that eventually it's
going
to
get steeper.
like that.
Yeah.
And I think also real quick for just an average fan like which we are. I mean, I don't think I could even walk the track and not fall down, let alone put a dirt bike on it. I had the opportunity to do the track walk at Anaheim, and you'll see it from TV, and you're like, bro, why is that guy being fucking whacked, dude? Just pin it and hit the fucking whoops already. So we did the track walk, and I walked the whoops one time, and I was like, okay, now I get it.
It was like up to my knees. I was like, what?
And I go,
Bro, they're
oh
so
shit.
big.
On TV, they look like fucking rollers out at Gorman, and you're just like, yeah, why doesn't homeboy just click up a gear and go for it? And then we did the track walk, and her and I was like, holy shit,
it was totally
it's
different.
another level. But I think also from a fan's perspective, you watch Daytona, and you look at Daytona, and you're like,
oh, that's my expectation for all the tracks.
Correct. So we watch Daytona, and then the next week, the next track comes up, and you're like, oh shit, I just got done watching like one of the gnarliest tracks, and now this. But so I mean, I guess what are your thoughts on? Let's just go with Coop, man. Like, he's got the red plate. We had a little bit of a discussion earlier, and this was a previous discussion, which was prior to watching Chase kind of crash, and I think he's out of it now. I mean, points wise, unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah, unless he like figures out what he's got going on and he goes on a run, I think I think
it would have to be a big run with Eli and Sexton. I mean, sorry, Eli and Chase getting fifths and sixths and sevenths to really close that gap. But we had a conversation earlier in the week, and I said, you know, prior to Indy, and I said, hey, so if Tomac's sitting out on his porch right now, and you know Cortez overlooking the property, kind of just, you know, drinking some sweet tea, scratching his nuts, who's he the most worried about? You know, when it was like a 2.5,
sure.
correct. I was thinking in my mind, okay, so he's got two people on his mind. No one else is in the title hunt. And I had another person that I was talking to was like, I don't know, dude, Sexton speed. And I said, no way, dude. I go, at this point, I would tell you that he's sitting there knowing that Coop's a two-time champ, has the ability to go a full 20 minutes. And I got to tell you, dude, he's got that eye of the tiger, which is, he's different. He's built different.
Yeah. I mean, Coop, I mean, I know Coop, you know, a little bit outside of racing, and that's just, he's just so competitive at everything he does, man. Like he's got the shit down deep. You know what I mean? The shit that you're born with, like the stuff that like dig
deep.
Yeah. He's got that dig deep shit.
Yeah.
And, like I even said it on the Kickstart podcast on Monday. Like I was talking to him in the tunnel, and then I'm like, I told him, I said, bro, I got some money on you for this weekend for the race. He's like, oh, yeah, I seen that. He said, I can do that, right? I can bet on myself and make me some money. I'm like, yeah, bro. And then he said something. He said,
fuck, bro, you got to tell him to text me when he has that type of
Straight
confidence.
up.
Bro,
I'll throw a
straight up.
fucking 1,000 on the game
Straight
when he's
up.
got that attitude.
yeah. And he said it's hard to beat someone who doesn't fucking quit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, bro,
That's
like
killer
that's right
mentality.
before the heat race. And like, dude, he was just, it's like he had fire in his eyes. And granted, he had an off night and he still got third, right?
Correct.
I mean, he had that crash in the heat race, and then like he just couldn't really. He had a lot of mistakes, right? But I put some money on him just because of his past, you know. And whenever he's just good at like whenever the track gets nasty, like him and Eli. That was a weird ride for Eli. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what the hell happened.
No, yeah.
But usually 9 times out of 10, whenever the track is like that, Eli rises like cream to the crop. Like he's right there, him and Coop.
So I do have a quick theory on that real quick, the Eli ride. So once again, we're just bench racers. I never met him, don't know him like you guys know him as competitors, but something tells me he's finally reached a point in his career where it's not money. I think he's solidified himself as one of the greats. That's for sure. You know, everyone's got their Mount Rushmore deal or whatever. You know, I think he's reached a point where he sees a track, he sees what's going on in the track, and just weighs the risk to reward kind of style. I mean, he's methodical in how he moves, and I think he just says, the track's absolutely insane. I refuse to push it over the limit, and I want to say that crash at Anaheim may play a role, dude. I mean, that's one of the more gnarly ones he's had in a couple of years.
Straight
and then
up.
all of a sudden you show up to this place and it looks like death cross, you know, so maybe he's going, dude, I'm almost sure Chase is going to crash, and we can talk about that, but maybe I'll take a little bit, you know, of a not so good finish and just get out of here within striking distance. That's how I think he rode that race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, did Tomac win last year for Indy?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah, he did. I listened.
So I don't think it's like he's obviously used to this track. He has so much experience. He's used to like a really tough track. The weirdest part for me was most of the race, he couldn't get past like Anderson. Like he was stuck right behind Anderson, and he looked like he was trying. He was like, it generally looked like he was trying, and he just couldn't get past Anderson. And I think that was the weirdest part. Like if that didn't like happen, like he's usually had like, he used to not be like best at starts, but like, and he would like make his way up there, but he didn't like make his way up there. And I thought that was just like the weirdest like part of like the whole race.
I mean, I would tell you, I don't know that I was listening to another podcast and they're like, beast mode's gone. And I said, no, I think beast mode's selective now. I think beast mode is when I feel like turning it on and I'm comfortable to turn it on, I'll turn it on. If beast mode is not safe for me, I'll park it. But I listened to a podcast earlier in the week and they're like, oh, Eli beast mode's gone. I go, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I mean, he's like picking and choosing his battles. Like whenever he's completely comfortable, you know, I think we'll see it. But you know, like when you have a track like that, maybe he wasn't too comfortable. We seen it at Tampa as well. You know, he's just like, hey, I'm not going to push it. I got big picture. I could lose a lot more points tonight if I mess up and do something right over my head. Then, you know, yeah. I mean, and I think too, it sort of wasn't. I don't know. I think if he would have started up front, he would have stayed there.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he would have.
Even with Barsha?
Oh yeah.
I think we would see Eli around 4th instead of 8th.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
But
No, like if he
you don't
started
think
up
like
there.
whole shot and win?
No, not with
Not
the way.
on that night.
Yeah, not on that night. Not after the heat race that he had. Even whenever he's had heat races like that, like earlier in the year, I forgot which round it was. He held off Sexton like the whole main event.
Yeah.
You know, but he went pretty backwards in that heat race. So I'm thinking, you know, that if he would have started up there, he would have stayed 4th.
Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, I started to have some major concerns when I saw. I mean, and no disrespect to Christian Craig. I mean, the guy's a beast. No questions asked. But when you see Christian Craig going up the inside and going around him, you had a question like, okay, was there a midweek crash that they kept silent? Not to say Christian Craig on any given night cannot beat Eli Tomac, because that can absolutely happen. I'm just saying, historically speaking, based on how this season has gone, it did shock me to see Christian Craig go around Eli Tomac at the end of a race. I mean, Eli's known to push it all the way to the end of the very last lap, and we've had a tendency of seeing Craig fade a little bit in you know, on the 450, being new to the whole thing. So to me, I was also wondering, you know, was there a crash? Was there a midweek mishap that the media didn't catch on to?
A little bike. I don't know.
either that or maybe even, you know, he's back in Cortez now, right? Who knows how the weather is? So maybe he didn't even get to ride throughout the week.
Yeah, well,
So he
I
might
have
have been-
businesses in Colorado, and it's not riding. They're not riding in Cortez right now. That's for sure.
Straight up.
Oh yeah, I have a business in Montrose, and there's a foot of snow.
Oh,
So
man.
it could be, you know, a week off of just, you know.
Yeah,
hey,
maybe he was just a little rusty, you know.
Got it.
Yeah. So,
So real quick before we go on to the next thing, which is you touched on a minute. I'd like to ask you about what you think about Chase. So, this year so far, I've lost about 700 or 800 on Motobookie on Sexton.
straight up.
Because
You're looking at that qualifying time, huh?
I'm looking
You're
at the
a good
qualifying.
bettor.
Well, yeah, it's unfortunate that I think we've developed and owned the app, and I know for sure I've lost the most money. So it tells you I think I'm a better businessman than I am a gambler. But I have a kind of a thought, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. So everyone, including other names in big podcasts, are like, okay, Sexton, that's it. Sexton was going to rattle off titles. It's a done deal. Sexton is the next thing. And I had a conversation with somebody, and I said, let's just break this down a little. So Jet's coming up to the 450. I'm not going to look at the Motocross the Nations because that's a one-off kind of whatever race. But let's call it how we saw it. He went blowing around him like he was standing still.
Yeah.
So you have Jet moving up with unlimited confidence with every single piece of the puzzle that he possibly needs to be successful. There's a possibility Cooper Webb wins this title, so he's going to defend with just vengeance and a bike that now KTM's clearly understands they better give him the bike he needs.
Yeah.
So you have a Cooper Webb possibly defending. If Eli wins the title, does he come back and defend? And you have Jet coming up. I told this guy, I don't see all these championships that you guys are speaking of because I feel like Sexton has fallen into the crash bucket. And what I mean by the crash bucket is Faulkner, RJ Hampshire. I hate to say this, I'll probably get hate for this. James Stewart. Some of the fastest dudes ever, but had the gnarliest crash reels. And I'm just wondering, have we gotten to the point where Chase Sexton has now fallen into that group of riders?
I'm not there yet. I just think that he's in his own head, because I'm sort of dealing with the same thing, right? Like, it's just dumb little stuff that's just creeping into the mind, right? It's like just dumb stuff that's creeping into the mind that I feel like he's thinking about too much, because you got to think too, like whenever he shows up to the race, you have all the fans like, hey bro, are you gonna crash again this weekend? Are you gonna keep it on 2? So it's just constantly just replaying in his head, And I think he's just letting those demons in, man, and it's just a chain reaction. But no, yes, he crashes a lot, but I mean, dude, you gotta look back at even outdoors last year too. I mean, there was a lot of times where he was on top, like I mean, he beat Eli at Eli's best, on some of the weekends, and I think I'm not there yet. I think he'll figure it out. Yes, there are jets coming in, but I think that, yeah, no, I think he can still win.
And how much?
I mean, he's young too, man. Like he's still young. He's got a lot of years of racing. I mean, to say that Jet's going to come in and win, like that's. I understand that he's really, really good on a motorcycle, but it is going to be very, very tough for him to win on a 450 straight away.
Oh yeah, you're stepping in. You're stepping in with the big dogs. I mean, what are your thoughts on? I know you are a Sexton fan, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, like exactly what you're saying. He's young. He has a lot of time on him, and he knows that like if Tomac is gonna kind of like retire this year, he has another like competitor out of his way. I mean, he's a top 5 guy. So if he cucks out like the biggest competitor, which is Tomac, like I don't know, he has a lot of time. And yes, these injuries are gonna build up and maybe not be the best thing, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's really just all in his head, and like he knows he has the speed. For sure, he has the speed. It's just those little things that can't happen.
Okay, I mean, well, I agree to disagree. I'm starting to smell a little bit of the one of my favorite riders, hands down, is Faulkner.
Austin.
Yep.
Yeah.
That I don't ask me why. I just like Faulkner. I like him as a rider. I liked AC. And I'm not saying Chase is one of them yet, but at some point, you even listen to the broadcast and with Ricky and Stu, and Ricky openly admitted, yeah, I preferred riding behind you because I knew at some point the highlight reel cartwheel crash was coming.
Yeah.
Didn't come every weekend, but I knew that if I could stay close enough, it would come. And you just begin to wonder with a guy like Coop, with people that, are in Supercross, they're going to be on your ass. It's not common you see a guy just break away by 8 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, straight up.
So, and I think in outdoors, you saw a little bit of him and Eli being 40 seconds out in front of everybody. So really it's a 2-man battle at that point. So I could see how he wasn't making those types of mistakes, but I don't know. Do I think he'll win a championship? Absolutely. But to say he's just going to rattle off a bunch of championships, I don't think I'm on that train.
No, I'm not on the train of him rattling off a bunch of championships. I do think that he does get one in the 450 class. I just don't think it's going to be tomorrow. I think he's got a lot of years. A lot of people forget Coop. Like when he moved into the 450 class, he didn't win straight away. Hell, I filled in for him at Yamaha whenever he was hurt on the side of the, on the sidelines. And he didn't win until he went to Alden's.
Okay.
It doesn't happen overnight. And I think that, if he gets this figured out, I think he's going to rattle off some wins. Yeah, because, if you think about it right now, Jet's in the lights class. He's racing against, 1 or 2 guys.
Correct.
On like last year, he's racing against 1 or 2 guys that maybe can beat him, right?
Correct.
Or either coast, right? And whenever he moves up to the 450 class,
there's 10 guys.
There's 10 guys that have won the same championships as he's won.
Yeah. That's a big leap. And real quick, and how much of the Sexton stuff you're seeing do you think is bike related? Because I have talked to some people. Once again, I'll be the first to admit I am a 40+ novice squid. So I'm in no way in a position to tell you what a bike should or shouldn't do. But I have talked to some people who are familiar with the Honda platform and have all said the bike's been known to do really weird shit out of nowhere.
No, yeah,
and
it does.
A lot of what you're seeing is not him. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not good enough to make that determination, and I've never even threw my leg over a Honda. So in your opinion, how much of that's him fucking up and how much of that is the bike?
Yeah, so I rode the Honda last year, and I had some of the similar issues. Like whenever you watch, some of these crashes, a lot of them have similar characteristics, right? It's a lot of like the front end wash and catch, and then just sort of pitch them over the bars. I know that they've made changes to the bike to help with that. So yeah, I mean, blame pie. I would go 60 the bike, 40 Chase,
Okay.
because like I don't want to I don't want to say like, oh, it's all on Chase, because I don't know. I mean, but I've talked to some people, and I think, yeah, I'm 60-40 there.
And I guess then, you know, if the rumor mill is true and he's going to the KTM, which I don't know, you know,
and that could be tough too, because he's pretty much starting over, right? I mean, he's been on a Honda for his whole pro career.
That goes back to my my discussion with this individual is, so he goes to the KTM. Well, there's 2 years, a 2-year delay of him getting used to the bike, or 2 seasons before he's in the groove. Well, that means 2 seasons better for Jet.
And I mean, I have been hearing that Jet is very, very fast already on the 450.
So I've only seen stupid little videos, but it seems like his body stature and stuff would fit the 450 just fine.
And to me, like, it seems like Jet and Chase, they both have similar riding styles. You know, like they're very front wheel dependent. Like, I don't know. To me, it's like super similar. So I don't know. Maybe they have just different bike setups. I know that they like their bike completely different. I think Jet's is a little bit stiffer. And the way Chase likes his bike, he likes it super soft.
Okay.
So maybe that's something. And I've even tried to make this argument on our podcast, and I said that, you know, the way that Chase likes his bike, I think it's for comfort and not performance, right? Like, yeah, he can go super fast on that, but why don't you just give up a little bit of speed, you know, and comfort to help perform a little bit better?
Keep it on 2 wheels, basically.
Exactly. maybe go 0.2 slower and win the race.
Yeah.
With, you know, a stiffer setting.
Because when you look at the qualifying times, which has been the leading cause of my massive decline on Motobookie, is I watch qualifying and I see bets go up saying, you know, Cooper Webb's gonna beat Chase Sexton, and I go, not tonight, boys. $100. Fucking 5 laps in, I'm already counting my money, and then bam, there goes my $100. You know, so I you know, and the worst part is, I will continue to place that bet because eventually
it's gonna pay off.
He's gonna fucking pay off.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right. So I want to kind of talk Isabella's favorite rider in the entire 450 class is Bam. That is her guy. So what did you think about before we get to Kickstart? What did you think about Barsha's, you know, the way he rode at Daytona, just showing disgusting flashes of speed, nearly getting killed by his buddy Sexton a few times, and then carrying that momentum into Indy? What did you think after you watched that race?
So I already knew he's so good at like those like type of tracks, like that really ruddy, like disgusting dirt. And then that's when you just see him like come out and just be really good. I don't know. He's really strong one. And I think he's really good at exiting like the ruts. When you see him, he's just like exits it like really nicely. And yes, he looks like he's about to die or like fall over, but he always just sees to save himself. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like
he's a very loose rider.
Yeah. And that's like so fun though. It's like, I don't know.
So, I mean, I as a fan, just watching him hit a Supercross triple and you watch him dive the front end.
Oh God.
And every time he does it, I think in my head, oh God, he's going over the bars. And he's like, oh no, actually he's doing that shit on purpose.
Oh yeah, he's just like doing it casual.
And so I was watching, I forget what rhythm lane it was where he was just his entry and then slides the ass in. Now, not like Coop. Coop's up, tight, down. And I think from a fan's perspective, I would say, you know, Barsha's the funnest to watch.
Yeah.
But I thought he had it, dude. I really did. I thought once he closed that gap and he was on Kenny, I was like, oh man, poor Suzuki's not going to get it tonight. And Kenny just maintained it, dude. It was awesome.
I mean, we were watching it there and we were on the edge of our seats, right? Like, I personally thought, like, okay, it's coming down to the wire, and Barsha was super close to Kenny in that last lap. I'm like, oh man, like Barsha's gonna kill him. Like Barsha's gonna break his leg, and he's gonna win this race.
You think he just blew his wad or what? Like,
no. Barsha does not,
because he got
tired.
to him though.
Yeah,
he like got to
him.
I
think he made it. I think they both made mistakes that last lap. Just 'cause I think the lappers played a huge factor in it, right?
Yeah,
lappers played a huge factor, and I think you know, just Dude, Kenny was riding great all day. He just stuck to his lines, whether they were slower or faster. He stuck to his lines because he knew he could run them clean, and I think that's the main reason why he won the race. But Barsha, dude, like that dude does not get tired. He doesn't like. He's always 110% effort, and dude, he's been riding really good the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
really good. When the track's super nasty,
so,
like you said,
he's there.
Yeah, he's there. He's good.
So where do you think that comes from? Like how all of a sudden, Barsha was a 5'6", and then all of a sudden comes out and just you're like, oh shit, like Barsha can actually win this thing. Is it just a mid-season thing? You think they found something within the bike?
Yeah, it was a new bike this year, and I think they just needed a little bit of time.
Do you think it was a bike?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of bike, maybe a little bit of him. I think it was just all of it coming together. He takes a little bit to warm up, although we do see him win the opener,
all the time.
Three times in a row. But I think that after that, it's it kind of takes him a bit, right? And yeah, I think at this East Coast swing, I think he's just starting to warm up. He's getting a little bit better at that.
So being that you're actually on the track with him, and is that really that fear there? Like you think wholeheartedly people genuinely go, holy fuck, he's coming?
Yes. Okay.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah, I was his teammate in 18 whenever I got to fill in for Coop on factory Yamaha there in outdoors, and the dude dude, I mean, he's cleaned me out before in a heat race. He's I've almost gotten into it with him a couple times, but dude, he's like totally different person off the track. He's like, dude, I don't know. Yeah, man, that's just how I do it. And then whenever he's off the track, helmet's off, just smiling, the most happiest guy ever.
Super cool.
Super cool. Yeah, super cool. If you watch his vlogs.
Oh, yeah, I love his vlogs. They're so funny.
That is him to the T. Like, that is no bullshit. That is how he is 100% of the time. Or no, say 99% of the time. Whenever he puts his helmet on, that's a totally different Bam.
That's cool. What the heck?
So then so that shit's real. Like, if you're on the track and you're in 5th, all of a sudden he's in 6th, and you hear the thing on the fucking rev limiter. You're saying as a pro Supercross rider, you're like, holy shit, Justin's behind me.
Just go by me. Just go by me. I don't want to deal with it. Just go.
So I mean, that's kind of in a sense he's been able to actually capitalize and use that shit to his advantage.
Install some fear in some people.
You don't see that very often.
Dude, he broke Tyler Bowers' leg, bro.
Just cleaned him out.
Yeah, I just cleaned him out. Broke his leg.
How do you just go up to someone and be like, hey, you broke my leg? Like, how do you just
I don't know if it was like that, but
no, yeah, but it's like oh, I feel bad, but it's like it kind of like just like had to happen.
I mean, he did Mookie dirty last year.
He straight up.
He did Mookie.
Is a lot of it like on
that
purpose?
was a lot of money though.
Yeah. Oh no,
that was for a lot of money. No, it's not on purpose. Or, I mean, it is on purpose.
Well, the
100%.
one on Mookie had to be. I mean, that was fucking just
Yeah.
straight front wheel to femur type shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he knows what he's doing, right? It's just like.
So what, like 3rd or 4th place in points is probably a $500,000 bump or something stupid like that.
Let's see. I'd say a mil to win, maybe $750 for second, and then
so half mil.
Yeah, half.
So
mil,
the half
yeah.
mil. Oh, for sure, dude. I'd fucking T-bone my grandma in her wheelchair for $500,000. So
Straight
you know what
up.
I mean? Like fucking I'll pick you up later and we'll figure it out. But I get it. So I mean, let's go to Kickstart, dude. Like, how gnarly, how big was that? And once again, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and people are going, hey, you dumbasses that are out spending 13 or 14 grand on a factory. I need the factory, production bike. They're kind of shitting on those people now, going, hey, all the technology and all this shit that you spend 20 grand on a bike to chase a 10th here and a 10th there. This guy jumps on an outdated platform and shows that he can win against the best riders in the world. Where do you stand on that? Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
like, how do you attack that?
I completely agree, right? I mean, if you're like the average person, you don't need all of that stuff on the factory edition KTMs or any of that stuff, right? Like the Suzuki stock bike, the stock Suzuki RMZ 450 is an amazing bike. Just brand new out of the box, and it is
half the price.
Yeah, half the price, bro. I swear to you, I rode for that team in 2019. I rode a Suzuki. I had to kickstart my bike every freaking time I rode it. That was the best year in Supercross that I ever had. I got top 20 in points.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So then why such a decline with the manufacturer and this stigma that, oh yeah, the bike's just a,
Well,
you know,
it's just-
I mean, what is it then? Because I mean, you know what's going to happen right now.
yeah.
So he wins a race. I guarantee you Suzuki sold 500 to 1,000 fucking
100%.
units yesterday because people went out
100%.
and said, oh, fuck all this launch device and all these buttons and all this shit. Just go get me an old Suzuki and throw some suspension on it.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know, do you think they continue to develop that platform now that they showed he could win on it?
They have a new bike.
They do. Okay.
They've had a new bike for years.
So what's the holdup?
I don't think they want to release it. They're just like, I mean, they want to save their money, I guess.
You think they're
know,
exiting the sport?
I mean, they've talked about it numerous times. You know, they had different owners, you know, different ownership, I guess, like coming in, and then like everyone's sort of like scared, like, oh, we're going to lose a manufacturer. You know, and then they're pulling out of like MotoGP and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I do know that Suzuki, you know, Japan, they really pushed for Kenny to ride Suzukis. I think like corporate Suzuki's paying for his bonuses. And yeah, I think that it's not over for Suzuki. I just think that, you know, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's very hard to say. I mean, we want to see it. We want to see a new bike. We want to see an electric start on a Suzuki. You know, like we don't want to see a manufacturer just disappear.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that I don't understand how Supercross and the sport could be at pretty much an all-time high. I mean, I'm sure McGrath days. I don't have the viewership numbers and I don't have that type of stuff, but I would guess, given with social media and the Lawrence brothers coming in and kind of, you know, all the Instagram and, you know, there's so many new faces at the race now that, you know, it definitely looks like a different sport. So to watch a team like Suzuki or a manufacturer like Suzuki make an exit, kind of when I think the sports, you know, you got the Peacock deal. You're in a platform where everyone can watch the races all the time. You got the Super Motocross series coming. So, you know, I think or Suzuki goes, well, maybe we don't have to change anything on the bike. Right? I mean, the guy just won on it. I mean, I know you're a huge Kenny fan. What'd you think about the win? I mean, it was cool, man. Seeing him almost cry on the podium and shit.
I mean, granted, I feel like I mean, we didn't think that Roczen was going to win this year just because of, like, you know, the beginning of the season. But I feel like it's Ken Roczen at the same time, though, right? Like, I mean, I was doubting him for sure. But now that he's got the win, I was thinking about it. I'm like, dude, Ken Roczen could win on a lawnmower.
Yeah. I mean, you see what he did in Paris. So that was pretty insane. I know you were watching the podium stuff. What'd you think?
Okay. Yeah, he got a good start. But when you see, like, Kenny ride sometimes, he'll slowly start, like, getting back a couple, like, positions.
You thought he was going to fade.
You thought it was fading.
Yeah, and I think if Cooper Webb didn't make that, like, that mistake in the whip section that made him lose time, I think if you gave him a couple more minutes, he would have passed Kenny. I think so. I think he would have waited. Cooper Webb is really good at just laying back and then shooting it. And then Kenny's more like, okay, I'm going to get a really good head start and then I'm going to slowly fade out. So, like, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm saying, yeah,
you think it was a gimme?
But I do think so.
I mean, look, I'm all on board for it. I thought it was super cool. I saw him at Straight Rhythm and watched him fucking throw that whip on that thing, and I was mind blown. And at the same time, I have legitimate text messages, and I'll have a lot of money owed to me at the end of the year. Unfortunately, not through Motobookie. This was a side bet because I hadn't had the app going. I did have Cooper Webb for $1,000 to win the title. So I saw him at Straight Rhythm. He walked through the lobby. We got out of the elevator. You were with me, and he looked trim and fit. And I go, okay, Coop's back. I go, he's back. And they're like, no, dude, he doesn't have the speed. He don't got the fucking speed to run up there. He's way too fast.
A few months prior, he was not trim and fit. No,
I know he wasn't.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I know it
was.
A few
months because we were at the wedding and we're like, man, we got to get back to work.
Yeah. You know, when I saw him at Straight Rhythm, he had started to get it together a little bit. So, I guess one other thing real quick we'd like to touch on is Danger Boy. I'll start off by saying, fucking just drop all the he's hype. He's not the. you cannot and no longer, I feel, can use the whole thing that he's overhyped and that his dad did the. He has proven
Yeah,
that he belongs in the sport at the level that he's at. I know he was getting a ton of hate. I know it was like, oh, fuck, it's Deegan's kid and he's been spoon-fed. You can't spoon-feed that talent. The dude has shown, yes, he's had some crashes. So I did kind of go back. All his crashes have been in the whoops, but he's a smaller kid, brand new to Supercross. Yes, I'm sure the whoops at the test track that he hits every day, 1,000 laps a week, hitting those whoops are not what he sees on Saturday night. But the one thing I thought was really cool was after he crashed in Indy, he got back up and the next lap he blitzed the whoops. So you're beginning to see some little things in him that are pretty special at such a young age. But I'm going to tell you, I'm on the Danger Boy train. I don't think he's all hype. I don't think he's a fluke. I mean, how are you feeling about Danger Boy?
I mean, he's young. Like he has a lot of time, and it's like, yeah, he's doing these couple crashes, but it's like, you know, it teaches him. It makes him like a better rider. He looks, okay, I crashed here. Next lap, I'm gonna figure out like what I did wrong. And yeah, like when he blitzed the woods, like right after, like he figured it out. But I mean, like he's really strong in the beginning of the race. Like he's like out there. Like
he's strong at the end too. That's one thing that I noticed about him. Like the dude has no lack of effort.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, he reminds me a lot of Barsha. I mean, just like the way he rides the bike, the way he throws the bike around, like
he's on that rev limiter.
Yeah, rev limiter, fitness level, everything. Like he's the real deal, man. Like I had my doubts for him, you know, coming into the season too. I'm like, I don't know how he's gonna do, but he's definitely proved me wrong for sure.
So just real quick, just some bench racing. So hypothetically speaking, you get a healthy Shimoda and a healthy Deegan, and they end up on the same coast next year. I think Deegan rides West Coast. I think just him being a Cali boy, Star's going to end up saying, dude, I mean, they'll go crazy if he rides Anaheim, right? Like he's born and raised Temecula kid.
Yeah.
A healthy Shimoda, a healthy, Pierce Brown, a healthy Deegan. You think he could take Shimoda down? Because for me, I think next year my guy's
I don't
Shimoda.
think so. Yeah, I think Shimoda. I don't think he takes Shimoda down yet. I know that I know that other podcast things like, hey dude, like title guy next year. That is a long ways away, 100%.
And I think Kitchen's fast. I think Thrasher's fast. I think there's a few boys still in the stable that he can't take down week in and week out.
And one argument that I'll say that I have for that is just like the progression that he's had in such a short time. If he keeps progressing at the same pace that he is, then yeah, 100% he'll be a title guy next year. Because I mean, he just went from amateurs to pros, and he was third in points. You know, I mean, he was on the podium.
Yeah.
You know, and he's consistent. He's figuring it out. Yes, he had a crash, but I mean, the dude got back up and finished the freaking race, still badass. Like, I think that if he keeps progressing like on like the path that he is on, trajectory, and he stays healthy, yeah, I mean, that's not out of the cards. But I mean, yeah, we just got to see, right?
Yeah, it's always, and I think motocross and supercross always boils back down to injuries. You know, if he can take an entire season and stay clean, how do you think he does in outdoors?
I think he does good. I mean, like, I feel like the tracks out here in Cali, like, are really good for like outdoors and stuff like that. And I feel like, I don't know, he's good. He has good stamina, that's for sure. And
he's a top 5 guy.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Hunter, with all the star boys.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be good off the gate. And then like I've watched him at some of the amateur races. I've watched him. He does certain things better than other people, right? Like whenever he goes out on the track and he's in a race, the gate drops, the bullshit stops for him 100%. But the one thing that I noticed with his riding style and what he does best is he can dissect the track and go and figure out lines way faster than anyone else. So if a line goes to shit, he's so quick to change it, and he's good at hopping into those ruts and getting out of those ruts and being super clean that way. Like his racecraft when the gate drops and his line selection and how smart he is, like in the middle of the race at such a young age is very, very like,
okay,
it's mature.
Yeah, he's very mature on the track for how young he is.
So, I mean, I think going forward with the Shimoda and Hunter and some of these guys in the outdoors, I'm putting him like more of like a 6 to 8 guy. I just don't know. Look, and that's my. I'll be on now. Not at Paula.
You think he's more of a Supercross guy right now?
I think his dad had talked a lot about he did ride a lot of Supercross on the Super Mini, and I'm not to say he didn't ride a lot of outdoor, but if you think about it as an amateur, there's only 4 or 5 races a year that you ride that are outdoor little. And then what are those races? 4 lap races or something stupid. I do think that eventually he'll get there, but I don't know. For me, I got my money on now I did bet on him. I have a bet because I can't load it onto Motobookie yet until the event goes live on AMA. I got 100 on him to win a moto at Paula. I honestly feel that being his home track, that kid has spun 94 million laps at that track.
Yeah, all his vlogs were there.
I'm going whole shot Deegan, one of the 2 motos, and he fucking walks away. Now, is he going to carry that throughout
You think it'll be like one of those like Volan rides?
One of those Volan rides.
Okay.
Exactly, where Volan jumped out front, and I was like, okay, here we go. So I'm definitely on the Danger Boy train. I think at this point, though, I need to see a little bit on the outdoors to say title run, because there is some people saying he's in for the title next year. I said hold on a second. We don't know if Hunter's going up. We haven't seen a healthy Shimoda, and Kitchen's fast. I think Thrasher's fast. I think Pierce Brown's fast. But one more quick point one more quick opinion I'd like to get from you is, do you think Star or PC should offer Anstey a ride? Do you think they need to give him an opportunity to get on some factory equipment, some top tier equipment? I mean, look at Star. They've been known to take older riders and kind of see where they go. Do you think a PC or Star picks him up and says, hey, we're going to give you a 1-year deal next year. Let's put you on some factory shit and see if you can run up front in the 250 class?
I mean, he's had a Star ride. I mean, he had a Star ride 10 years ago. He's an older guy. And to be on one of those teams, you got to ride outdoors. And he's been vocal about it, that he doesn't want to. He wants to do.
Isn't he a GP guy?
Yeah, he was a MotoGP guy.
So wouldn't you think he'd kill it in the outdoors?
No, I mean, he raced 450 outdoors last year. I mean, he went he would get fifths. I think he got 1 podium. I mean, he was in the top 10, but it's like.
Was it money, or he just don't want to put his body work through it?
Well, I think he's just getting older, and he thinks that he can make more money in World Supercross because he's got a 2-year deal on the team that he's on right now.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
Now that makes sense. So I mean, you don't think that Star would come to him and say, let's say,
Star came to him last year,
and he turned it down?
No, he didn't turn it down. He rode the bike. They told him no.
Really?
Yeah, he did. He did I think was it last year? No, it wasn't last year. It was whenever he first got over here. Whenever he was like negotiating his HEP deal on a 450, he wanted to ride lights class, but they didn't have a lights program then. So his only option was to do 450. But then someone got hurt on Star, and they were going to offer him a fill-in. But then he rode the Star bike and then like tore something, like tore his calf muscle or something. Like he had like some like weird injury. And then, yeah, that was like a whole ordeal. Because
I would tell you that, with the exception of, the Hunter is just waxing him, Jet's waxing him. I don't think there's any big storyline there. I mean, that's insane, bro. What Anstey's doing on that team, which I know is a good team, no disrespect to the team at all. It's a cool team. It's a great team, but it's not a factory team. Yeah. And for him to just be going out there kind of rattling off, it's not a fluke, dude. Like, the dude's going to probably get top 3 in the points. Clearly, his bike's not at the performance level of the factory bikes. So in my mind, I'm going, okay, I'll give you an example. Faulkner. I tell you, Faulkner's my guy. I think Faulkner needs to get out of the class. I think even if it's not on a factory bike, I think Faulkner might have some other like options, but I don't know like other options like in the class, in the 250 class, to make a change, right? Like, I mean, he's one of the highest paid 250 guys still right now with all of the injuries and everything that he has. And I think that other teams have sent him offers. I don't know if he wants to change. I think he does. That bike or something, I think he does stay where he's at, although I do agree that he needs to change. But yeah, like, dude's fast, man. Oh, he's crazy fast. And that's what I was telling you. I was watching him, at Glen Helen and just watching him on the practice track. But I mean, in 4 or 5 seasons to really just, no, maybe 3 seasons when he went over the bars in Utah when he had the title shot. But I just feel like Faulkner's, it's time to, he's got to try something different. I don't know that getting back on the PC bike again and kind of like rinse and repeat. I think he's for a fresh start. And I know you're a Faulkner fan.
Yeah, I mean, I used to like Kawasaki's. I mean, I love McAdoo and I love Faulkner. But dude, like both of them, I like keep getting injured, and it's like, okay, is it more of like their riding that they need to fix? Is it more of like the bike? Like it's ironic, and Cincerello too. It's like they're like all three Kawasaki riders are like getting injured, and it's like frequently.
Yeah, it's not the bike. It's 100% not the bike. I mean, like whenever you go back to Anaheim and you watch Faulkner's crash, that was just luck of the draw. Yeah, fluke. McAdoo, he's always been on that wild edge. You know, like that has nothing to do with the bike, right? And then AC, I would say he's just got some nagging injuries as well, right? Like I mean, he's just his wrists aren't just doing him any justice right now.
So I mean, he was, and I got opportunity to meet him at Glen Helen. Super nice guy, dude.
Super
nice.
Like
a very, very nice guy, and I was rooting for him. I mean, I think he got sixth or seventh, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people didn't think that AC was going to come back and be that strong, right off the rip, right? I mean, he missed a couple weeks. Who knows where he goes from here? Because I mean, he didn't really get anything fixed. He just let something like an injury rest. So who knows if that flares back up? But yeah, man, like, man, the tough breaks for those guys, right?
Yeah,
like you feel for them.
Yeah, especially for him. I mean, having that type of success as an amateur, and then just thinking that you're going to transition that over. I remember that race where he did his collarbone, and when he was a kid, and he was in the tunnel, kind of just crying, like, "Oh my God, I had the title wrapped up." And now my shoulder's fucked, and it's just like almost like poor guy never got a break from that point on.
Remember when he was like 4'8" on a 250F, and now he's like 8 foot tall.
Yeah, I remember watching him, and then they said he went through that growth spurt and shit, and it was like he came back on the outdoors after that growth spurt, and they're like, "Oh, we got to change the bike, and we got to change all this stuff." Yeah. But you know, just to close it out, do you think Kickstart Kenny fucking JB welds the settings in place and just rides the bike, or is this Kickstart Kenny goes back to the drawing board, starts tinkering with the bike, starts dicking with the bike, and now we see a 7? So I have my money on Motobookie. Look me up at Bookie Bro. I got money on Roxon to go 4-7, I have Roxon to go 4-6 this week. I don't think he backs it up anywhere near what he just did.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, you're going totally different dirts, right? You're going to go from soft stuff. He's always done good at Indy. That was his 4th win at Indy, right?
Okay.
You know, I don't know how many wins he has at Detroit, but Detroit's usually more hard-packed, slick dirt, not very many ruts. So, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Okay.
4 to 6. Yeah, 4 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
So real quick, we'll close it out. Who you got for the win this weekend? Who you got for the win in both? I don't really want to bet anymore on the 250 class. I'm over it.
It's a gamble, right? I had money on Anstey to beat.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bets from this weekend, and I took one of your bets. You had Coop at first.
Yeah,
and I took your bet for the money on Coop. I'm the one that actually took your bet. I also lost a shit ton of money on Roxon. I had Roxon 7-10. And I was way off. Yeah, no, clearly.
Look at the old stats.
Well, I did. I was looking at how he did at Daytona, and I mean, if you look, he was a 7-10 guy.
He was doing good.
Yeah, different bike, different Kenny, different mindset, different everything.
Yeah.
Going through some of my other bets, I had RJ beating Craig, and then fucking RJ caught the swine flu or Hong Kong flu or something, and decided not to fucking ride.
Bro, he was on the ground all day.
I saw it, but they said he got sick.
Did he? Well, he was stuck to the ground. He got the swine flu from the dirt.
Because I lost money on that one. Let's see. I went in. Let me just look through them real quick. I had Deegan beating Tom Vial.
Oh, you won.
So I took the cash on that one. I lost my ass. I had Anderson beating Roxon. I thought that was a lock.
Straight up,
I'm
right?
Like that's fucking easy money. I'm taking that money to the house. I had Barsha. Dude, I lost 20 on Barsha to beat Roxon.
$20.
Shit, what do you want me to do? Barsha's coming
like
off at Indy.
$5 bets. Like
No. We're go big or go home right now.
Yeah,
Screw
so
that
like
shit.
I mean, I had money on Anstey, right? Anstey to beat Jordan Smith. I thought this track is sketchy, right? Like Max Anstey, MXGP guy, like when the track gets gnarly, like he carries a lot of momentum, you know, and that helps in ruddier conditions like this. Jordan Smith, he's been known to be a little bit sketchy, and you know, whenever the track breaks down like this, I would think that he would crash.
Yeah. It
wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't the case. I had money on Dino to beat McElrath.
Dino had a rough night.
Fuck, dude. I'm like, no, this is a shoe-in. I'm like, no, he's going to beat him. Lost that bet. So in total, I lost $250 this weekend.
Dang.
We'll make it back next week.
No, I'm coming back.
We're coming back. We're coming back.
But yeah, thank you guys very much, man. Thank you very much for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. This is our first podcast for Motobookie. So go check us out once again at motobookie.com. Check out the app. It's absolutely free till the month of May. Look me up on there. I'm Bookie Bro. I'm usually the one giving everybody action.
Get in the chat and talk some shit.
Wait, are you putting your bets during qualifying?
Oh, so
or you're waiting? Because that's where you make your mistake.
Hell no. So I'm a big fan of, I start betting on my shit on Thursday night.
Oh, God.
Okay. Because
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Look, only reason why is because it can go one of two ways. I don't want to wait till qualifying because then everyone kind of only goes based on that.
What if they don't even show up, bro?
Oh,
exactly.
So the good, well, yeah, but hold on a second. I got fucked on that a few times. So we've actually designed the app. That if both riders don't make the event, your money gets refunded.
Bruh.
But we have had some people pissed off saying, dude, what the hell? I placed a bet on Thursday. Homeboy got hurt on Friday and he's not at the race. And I'm like, bro, we already told you. We put the official sign-up list into the app Thursday night. That's when it's released from the AMA. So if homeboy goes out to the bar on Thursday night, gets beat up, and then doesn't show up to the race on Saturday, what do you want me to do about it?
I was going through the bets, and like there was one where it was like Colt Nichols beats blah blah blah. I was like, oh yeah, and then my dad's like, you know, he's not riding. I was like, oh my God, yeah, and I was like, boom.
So that $10.
Right
I'm gonna put it out there. There are some people on Motobookie,
but they're smart.
Well, there's some bastards on Motobookie that are fucking catfishers. So they're putting bets out there that they know the other dude ain't gonna show up. So you gotta watch out for the catfishes on Motobookie. Look, man, that's not on me. These guys are just up on the sport. I mean, they're listening to the fucking injury report. They're listening to every podcast. So I can't blame them. I ain't hating on them for that. But thank you guys once again.
That was fun.
I want to thank Alex Ray for coming in and doing this podcast with us once again. Go to aray.co, buy some sketchy merch, support my boy, cop his merch, and support us. And we will see you on Motobookie. Until next week, we appreciate everybody's time, and thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for having me.